year of the book, and then you can make all these things in a very detailed manner. Also note the name of the library. You have to give. Nowadays there is a computer also. Whenever you are accessing the materials through internet or through online, you have to note down that on which date and time you are accessing your materials or you are downloading. You have to note down and you have to write down all these details in your research thesis or research papers also. That is the good sign of the research work. Everyone can know that one hand has gone through these books also. Do not give any name of the book or the journals which you have not gone through your eyes. This is the best way of writing the bibliography. If you have not seen the book, if you have not gone through the book, you do not write the name of the book in the bibliography. Otherwise, it will create a problem. Examiner will caught you that how you have written this book. So be careful in writing all these things. We will discuss all these things in detailed manner when we will discuss the bibliography. But here, only you have to make a start or beginning of the literature view. You have to start the name of writing of the name of the book, name of the author, name of the publisher, the year book. Then you have to write down the name of the library where you are sitting, date and time, all these things. Arrange the cards according to various needs. You have to make the chapter wise your research card or the folders in your computer. You have to put all those materials according to your convenient folders and research cards. Transfer these records in the computer for further processing and preparing bibliography at a later date. So these writing research card will help you in writing the bibliography of the primary sources and secondary sources. Again, identify the sources most relevant to your topic. If you get anything material related with your research work, you identify those sources that where it has been taken. This is a good sign of your research work. If you find any thought or related, so you have to think over it that from where this source has been taken, whether it is from Vinay Sutta or Abhidhamma. And if you do not agree with the our author of the book, you have to care review it, and you have to find out the sources that whether it has been written properly or not. Concentrate on those resources first rather than all the collected materials. You have to be focused. We have seen also that sometimes literature review deviate the path of the main objectives and the aims of our research. Sometimes you are get involved in the books and you are not focusing or narrowing down your research topic. So you have to be very concentrate, you have to be aware that you have to focus on your research topic and the sources resources related with the primary sources or the secondary sources related with your topic. You have to concentrate on topic also. Otherwise, it will take much time in completion of your research work. Read important references cited in the above identified sources to get an overview of the knowledge related to your topic. Suppose you have go to one book and go through the bibliography of that book, and then you will find that whether the references which are related with your research work or not. And according to those references, then you have to come, we will discuss that how through the contents of the book also you can go through directly to your research, or even in the index of the book Generally, there are index at the end of the book. In the index, if you find your some of the keywords related with your research work or research topic, then you find out and you can directly go to those pages. Then it will save your time. So these are some of the techniques through which you can gather some of the informations in a very short time. Use social citation index to know the significance of the works you are reading and filter out the material accordingly. If you type your keywords on the Google, you will find that there are selected materials which are coming on that, and you can go directly to that. So, what are the components of making literature review? When you are making, and what are the main components of the research work? So you have to examine this. These are some of the things in your research literature review, that when, where, and who. That is the when means that whether it is present or the past, where, that is the book has been published or the journal has been published, and who, name of the author, and name of the editor of the journal, or name of the author of the research paper. We have to examine it. Then abstract of the research paper, you have to go through it, or abstract of the research topics, and what were the scope and purpose of those research work. Then research questions and the rationale, whether the research questions which have been discussed by the scholars, whether they are proper or not. Then the concepts and the theories or thoughts and ideas which have been discussed, and the literature or the sources, we have to make a review of that. The hypothesis which were taken by the previous scholars, how they have been undertaken, and what are the research methods which have been taken for that. Then the data collection strategy, what were the strategy for collecting the research materials. Then data presentations, how they have been presented, and how they have been analyzed, the research materials. Then you have to see the interpretations and the discussions, conclusion, simplifications, and a style of presentations. These are the our research component analysis. We are making analysis of these points. And lastly, the references, whether the footnotes or the endnotes which have been given, or citations, parentheses have been given, or bibliography of the primary and the secondary sources. You have to analyze it all these things in a very simple manner. So here we, in a very brief manner, those which have been given in the book Deciphering Sociological Research, London Macmillan Publications, 1982, that how the literature review are being done by persons. So here the relationship to other research theory and the research. So see here there is a, we have already seen that how the theory, theoretical or methodological we have seen. So theory and explanatory statement about the phenomena. Suppose law of dependent originations, or the Four Noble Truth or Eightfold Path, you are making explanation of those, and how the things are happening in our day-to-day life through the causal relations, law of dependent originations. Suppose there is a and theoretical propositions, specific propositions to be investigated in the study. So this is the internal theoretical validity. You are going to test it. Then operationalizations. The decisions made on how to carry out empirical work, techniques of data collections, sampling, concept, variables, units, we have to make it review. Then field work, how the data were collected, how the practical problems of interpreting stages and the decisions were taken, findings, and the results. Data analysis leads to finding interpretations that leads back to C, that is the operationalizations B and A, like this. So this is the internal empirical validity. So these are our how the models have been deciphered for literature review. So these are the, in a very brief manner, just I am going to stop the class, time is up. So how the critical analysis for the sake of literature review we are making, what is the claim made, what are the findings by the authors, what are the recommendations, what is the conclusion drawn, is the region relevant to the claims it supports, is the region effective, is the value invoked by the region likely to be universal or selective. These are aspects for making critical review. So is the given evidence credible, like method of data collections, processing, and interpretations? So are their qualifiers for the claim? So we have to analyze it in a very critical manner. There are some of the issues which are to be examined by a researcher for literature review, that whether does the writer clearly specify the main research questions. We have seen that what are the research questions which have been undertaken by a researcher. Has the writer demonstrated the value of his contribution to the knowledge, to the advancement of the knowledge? For example, has the writer articulated his proposed theory and hypothesis with adequate background material? Are the independent and dependent variables, cause and effect, identified and defined precisely? So we have to examine these. There are some of other things, like is inspired research, design strategy adequate, avoiding influence of other variables, what method of data collections has been done, used to make the necessary observations. These are the issues which are to be examined by a researcher for literature review. Is the sampling plan suitable if it has been taken for the sociological or anthropological study? Are the observations valid and reliable? Are the employed statistics like T and Z appropriate for the level of measurement of the variables? So are the findings presented and discussed clearly? Is the bibliography and the references list adequate, recent and accurate? We have to see whether the update recent works have been included in that work or not. Have the reference been prepared using a standard style, that is the APA system or MLA system? Even in MLA, there is a 9th edition, whether it has been undertaken by a researcher or not. Are the references properly cited in the text? Whether it is parenthesis, there are rules that how you have to make a end notes or the footnotes. Are the tables and figures presented clearly and followed a standard style of presentation clearly? So these are the review issues listed by the writer, a stand taken by the writer, methodology employed by the writer. I agree. Generally, when you write down the review, you have to write down that I agree with that, or partially agree or disagree with the conclusions, and why so. This is the critical review. What leads I draw from the reviewed work for my research work? Is it testing alternative theory, replicating it in different setting, using new analytical tools to check the results? So let us stop here. We'll discuss the remaining portion in the next class.